Hi, I'm Matt's evil twin, and I'm doing this under duress. But at least I'm smiling this time!
Remember,
You're a wizard.
1 second, boss. Let's go ahead.
Still princesses.
Contra. As you wish.
Ah, villains. Where would the world be without them? For without villains, there would be no heroes. And without heroes, there would be no conflict between heroes and villains. And without conflict between heroes and villains, well, we basically just have Twilight, wouldn't we? But some of the most memorable villains have come from visual media. Television, movies, even a few internet shows. And there's quite a wide range of these villains, from the villains that we fear, to the villains we despise, to the villains that we love to hate. But there are even a few villains out there that, for whatever reason, are actually likable. These are not only the villains that we just enjoy watching, but also villains that we form some sort of attachment with, whether we find their personality relatable, or we pity them, or we just find them hilarious. And today I'm going to count down some of my favorites, so put on your black hat, your outrageous mustache, and get ready to tie the hero's girlfriend to the train tracks. This is the top 15 most likable villains in visual media. Number 15. Sylvester from Glee. Okay, so I don't even watch this show, and yet I still know of the cynical awesomeness that is Sylvester. Cheerleading coach, foil to Mr. Schuester, and just all-around horrible person. And good grief is she hilarious. I think there are two things about her that make her likable. First is her insults, which are so hilariously well conceived that we find ourselves thinking, dude, I've got to think of a way to use that.
Because your hair looks like a briar patch. I keep expecting racist animated Disney characters to pop up and start singing songs about living on the bayou.
And the second is the fact that she has absolutely no scruples. Not only does she know that she's a horrible person, she embraces it and acts accordingly. And it's hard not to appreciate being that intentionally horrible. If I ever actually start watching Glee, it'll most likely be because of this character, Sylvester. Because every Mr. Schuester needs a Sylvester.
I will go to the animal shelter and get you a kitty cat. I will let you fall in love with that kitty cat. And then on some dark, cold night, I will steal away into your home and punch you in the face.
Number 14. Q from Star Trek The Next Generation. Yet another character who basically exists as a foil to the protagonists, and more specifically in this case, the high morals of the protagonists. Q shows up at the beginning of Star Trek The Next Generation to judge humanity for their crimes of centuries past. Picard and crew illustrate that they've moved past such barbarism, but Q keeps making periodic appearances throughout the series to keep them on their toes.
how about a big hug?
And honestly, after hearing so much high moralistic right or wrong bullcrap from the Starfleet characters, it's kind of refreshing to hear pure cynicism from this all-powerful being.
Must you always be so ethical?
Also, he knows exactly how powerful he is, and is so delightfully egotistical in showing off his power. We also see him form something of an attachment to Picard and his crew, and you get the feeling that they sort of keep him on his toes as well. And in the end, Q and Picard seem to have sort of a mutual grudging respect for each other. Plus, he illustrates once again that Picard is superior to Kirk. I mean, if Kirk had run into this guy, he would have gotten his ass handed to him. Q. Because honestly, speeches on the Prime Directive are incredibly boring.
May whatever God you believe in have mercy on your soul.
Number 13. Hades from Hercules. It was pretty clear that Disney didn't take this animated feature nearly as seriously as some of the previous ones. Whether you despise it for that reason or appreciate it for its ridiculousness, you probably have to admit that the movie's one saving grace is the villain, Hades, Lord of the Underworld. While I'm not ordinarily a fan of Hades being made into a villain simply because he's Lord of the Underworld, this character is just such fun. It's like a combination of the guy trying to be your best friend and a used car salesman. He's such a friendly, easygoing guy most of the time, and yet his sudden spurts of anger are incredibly funny. Plus, you really can't blame him for wanting to get the better of Zeus. I mean, Zeus is kind of a jerk. In fact, in a lot of ways, Hades is the only character in the movie who is likable, and there's no doubt that he was the highlight of this particular movie. Hades. Yet another villain saving yet another Disney film.
Bubba, name is Hades, Lord of the Dead. Hi, how you doing?
Number 12. The Brain from Pinky and the Brain.
Because I'm very likable.
Ah yes, one of the most brilliant criminal masterminds of our time. The Brain is cynical and hell-bent on world domination, but for some reason can never quite manage to achieve it. Now why would that be? Well, two things account for this. The same two things that make this character likable. First of all, well, he's a mouse, which has a number of inherent disadvantages, all of which are hilarious.
I promise, I honestly don't find you attractive in any way.
And the second is Pinky. Oh, the number of world domination schemes that have been foiled by an idiotic sidekick. The Brain isn't just an outlet for Pinky's stupidity, though. He's the ultimate straight man, with his dry monotone and sarcastic remarks, which pretty much everyone is thinking when dealing with someone like Pinky. And let's face it, we've all dealt with someone like Pinky.
Don't you feel so much better now, Brain?
As a matter of fact, no.
The Brain.
Gee, Brain, what do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Number 11. Strong Bad from HomestarRunner.com. HomestarRunner.com is a website containing flash cartoons that are usually meant to spoof bad children's literature or programming. So with Homestar Runner being the ultimate good guy, Strong Bad acts as the ultimate bad guy. A combination of school bully and criminal mastermind, and easily the most popular character on the site. In fact, he's basically become the protagonist of most of the cartoons. His shtick is answering emails from fans, and he usually uses the email to make fun of popular culture, the other characters in the cartoons, and, most often, stupid people, such as the person writing the email.
Oh man, this person made all kinds of typos. They mistyped this, they forgot this, they got this wrong. Ah, there we go.
Because he's the bad guy, he can get away with saying pretty much whatever he wants. The types of things that ordinary people want to say but are just too polite to. Strong Bad, the worst of humanity, in cartoon form.
Where all the locals sit around and suck out loud places closed? Oh, diddle-o-do, daddle-o-do, diddle-o-do, die!
Number 10. Jubal Early, the bounty hunter from Firefly. He only appeared in one episode, but he definitely left an impression. If you've never seen the show, Simon and River Tam have a bounty on their head from the Galactic Alliance, the government of this futuristic world. In one episode, a bounty hunter named Jubal Early shows up to take them in. So what makes this character likable? He's batshit insane. When he speaks, you have absolutely no idea what's going to come out of his mouth, and sometimes it makes absolutely no sense.
Maybe I come down the chimney, Kaylee. Bring presents to the good girls and boys. Maybe not, though. Maybe I've always been here.
Plus, he constantly oscillates between a friendly, soft-spoken man with a sort of philosophical bent and a deadly killing machine, threatening murder and even rape in order to get what he wants.
It's not your moment, Doctor.
But the things he says are just so hilarious and at times insightful, it doesn't even matter that he might kill you.
I don't think of myself as a lion. You might as well, though, have a mighty roar.
I said alliance.
Oh, I thought...
No, I was...
That's weird.
Jubal Early, because if you're going to be a bounty hunter, you may as well get a few laughs in.
So is it still a room when it's empty? Does the room, the thing, have purpose? Or do we... What's the word?
Number 9. Dark Helmet from Spaceballs. Another villain who is the highlight of the film he was in, Rick Moranis, renowned for his portrayal of complete losers, plays up this spoof of Darth Vader as, well, a complete loser.
I can't breathe in this thing!
One theme you'll notice throughout this countdown is villains who are completely incompetent, and that's Dark Helmet. He has no idea what he's doing, and yet here he is in command of a galactic empire. Colonel Sanders and President Scrooge are pretty amusing as well, but Dark Helmet takes the cake for sheer hilarity, as well as sheer likability. He's like that nerd from elementary school who always got beat up and so decided he was going to become all-powerful and then he'd show them. And when all that happened, yeah, he's still a complete loser. And it's hard not to like that. Dark Helmet, the dark side of nerdiness.
I can't believe you fell for the oldest trick in the book! What a goof! What's with you, man? Come on!
Number 8. Dr. Horrible from Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along blog. Well, yeah. Can't really have a countdown like this without including Dr. Horrible, can you? The whole point of this character is Likable Villain, a self-proclaimed Doctor of Horribleness whose alter ego is a nerdy loser named Billy. And the story is about him and how he's trying to take over the world while still essentially being a regular guy. And even though he is technically a villain, he doesn't serve that function in the story. The so-called hero of the story does, behaving like such a complete ass that we automatically root for Billy to beat him. Plus, he has a crush on Felicia Day. And let's face it, who doesn't have a crush on Felicia Day? Dr. Horrible, the one villain we actually want to win.
Aha! So that's, coming along.
Number 7. Captain Hook from any version of the story. Just about every version of this character that I've seen has had some element of likability. Whether it's the sheer incompetence of the cartoon, the flamboyance of the Mary Martin televised stage play, or even the sexiness of Jason Isaacs. No, really, run a YouTube search, it's actually kind of scary. This character always has something that is enjoyable to watch. It's weird because Captain Hook is supposed to act against everything that Peter Pan stands for, being a little boy and having fun, which is why he's often portrayed by whoever also plays Mr. Darling, the stuffy, overbearing father. So why is he so likable? Honestly, I think it's because of that relentless pursuit. Think about it, what does Hook have against Peter, really? It seems to be his mere existence. As such, he seems almost envious of the fact that he can't be as eternally youthful and fun-loving as Peter. So in a way, we pity him in his futile chase. But then it might also just be the goofiness of the character. Captain Hook. He tries so very, very hard.
Just lil old me.
Number 6. Stewie Griffin from Family Guy. If you thought a mouse as a criminal mastermind was funny, what about an infant child? It's interesting that the two most intelligent characters in this show are Brian, who's a dog, and Stewie, who's an infant. Unlike Brian, though, who just acts as a cynical straight man, Stewie wants to use his intelligence to rid himself of his family and try to take over the world. He's probably smarter than every other member of his family combined, and yet for all that, he's still a baby and goes through the same development stages that infants go through, which of course is a detriment to his intelligence.
Hi.
He acts as audience commentary to the stupidity of the characters, and yet he's a pretty stupid character himself at times, which is a nice combination. Stewie Griffin. Imagine if babies ruled the earth. Number 5. The Mayor from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Each season of Buffy had a main bad guy to fight, what they called the big bad of the season. And easily my favorite of these was the Mayor of Sunnydale from season 3. He's mentioned once or twice before we actually see him, and there's a certain amount of fear and tension whenever he is. So when we finally do meet him, and find that he's actually a disarmingly friendly man, throws us off a bit. And we can't help but like the guy. He's like that teacher who's actually a really nice guy, but he wants to relate to the kids and often comes off as incredibly corny, but in a way that just makes us smile appreciatively. Of course, in reality, the mayor is a demon using the Hellmouth of Sunnydale to become a full demon, effectively destroying everything around him. But the thing is, his personality as the mayor isn't just an act. That's really the way he is. And he does form a very human, father-like attachment to the character of Faith.
No father could be prouder.
At any rate, whenever he speaks, even when he's talking about doing the most horrible things, it's impossible not to like him. The Mayor of Sunnydale.
It's gonna be a whole new world come nightfall, don't want to weaken now. And boys, let's watch the swearing.
Number 4. Captain Barbossa from Pirates of the Caribbean. Between this character and Jack Sparrow...
Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please.
Whatever. These characters pretty much covered most of the pirate stereotypes, and we definitely get that with Barbossa, especially in the way he talks.
I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request. Means no.
But on top of that, he's another one of those wonderfully cynical villains who acts as the perfect foil to Captain Jack's antics. In a lot of ways, he's the anti-Jack, which of course makes him the perfect complement. His reactions to Jack, as well as the stupidities of his crew, are funny because they're exactly how we would react if in that same situation. Also, once again, no moral scruples. He knows who he is and what he wants, and he's going to do anything he can to get it.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
Captain Barbossa, enough to make anyone like piracy.
You're off the edge of the map, mate. Here there be monsters.
Number 3. Sylar from Heroes. Of all the villains on this list who are actually competent, Sylar is easily the most likable. He was so popular that even after supposedly killing him off at the end of Season 1, they decided they needed to bring him back. So how is this guy likable? He's the worst result of having powers, killing without mercy just for the sake of making himself more powerful. He's even prepared to destroy New York City for the sake of becoming powerful. So why do we like him? Well, the character of Peter Petrelli is part of it, so ungodly annoying at times that someone who is basically the antithesis of all that is really refreshing. Sylar also serves the function that a lot of villains do of speaking the uncomfortable truths that the good guys can't quite come to grips with.
Turns out you're the villain, Peter. I'm the hero.
Also, his quips and one-liners are pretty funny, showing us just how much he enjoys doing what he's doing. And I like to think that the complexity of his character also has a lot to do with it. He's a smart and basically charming guy who was raised badly and then who was given incredible power. And it was interesting to watch his personality develop over the course of the series, though at times it did get a little weird. Any way you look at it though, Sylar was the character that kept us watching this show. Sylar. Murder never looked so good.
Boom.
Number 2. Any of the Looney Tunes villains. Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, Daffy Duck, Sylvester, the Tasmanian Devil. These cartoons probably inspired a lot of the likable villains on this list. The common thread being that they are completely incompetent in accomplishing what they want to accomplish. And all their schemes go drastically and hilariously wrong. I think some of my favorites are probably Yosemite Sam, who was just so blusteringly angry, and Marvin the Martian, who was like a comedic combination of Hal from the Space Odyssey, and every alien who's ever tried to take over or destroy the Earth.
Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom!
But my favorite by far is Wile E. Coyote, who is not only a master of silent humor as he tries to catch the Roadrunner through increasingly elaborate schemes that always end in epic failure, but who also fails not because of the intelligence of the Roadrunner, but simply because of his own utter incompetence. The villains represent the most basic form of comedy. The villain wants something, he doesn't get it, hilarity ensues. How can you go wrong? The Looney Tunes villains. Classic villainy.
Oh, how simply dandy. I've captured another Earth creature. Oh, isn't that lovely?
And the number 1 most likable villain of all time is Professor Fate from The Great Race. The Great Race is basically a spoof of both epic movies and melodramas. So Professor Fate, with his top hat, mustache, and all-black attire, is the melodramatic villain. His motivation is similar in simplicity to the Looney Tunes villains. All he wants is to be better than his rival, the Great Leslie, who is the stereotypical good guy. But every attempt to beat him, no matter how elaborately planned, fails. And unlike a lot of villains on this list, he does actually try to hide his evilness and diabolical nature and occasionally turn on the charm. But he is so easily angered that this almost always fails as well.
Rise and shine! 7:30. Then you rise, you shine!
And he tries so desperately hard to beat Leslie and fails so epically that we almost feel sorry for him at times. That is until the next pratfall, and then we're back to finding him hilarious. Professor Fate, to his chagrin I'm sure, the most likable villain of all time.
I refuse to accept! I won't win any way but my way! You've ruined my reputation, do you hear?
And those are my top 15 most likable villains. Now if you'll excuse me, I've got a world domination scheme to put into practice, so until next time, this is Matt's evil twin saying, villains are people too. So hug an antagonist today. Okay, fine.